Hey there, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. So you may or may not know that I'm a frequent flyer, and you also may or may not know that I'm pretty scared of flying, but what you probably do know is that I'm fat. And I've been wanting to make a video for a while on my experiences with flying as a fat person, and also my experiences flying and being terrified of flying. So since I have a flight coming up in a few days, it kind of reminded me, and I just jotted down some things that I thought would be helpful for anyone who's nervous about flying or flying as a fat person, and things that, you know, as fat people we experience when we're in the air or because of airlines or other people. So without further ado, let's get to the good stuff. 1. Pick comfort over fashion. I've made this mistake a few times and I regretted it the whole time I was in the air. A lot of airlines have super tiny seats as is, so if you're going to go in something that's restricting to you, it's just going to make your experience 1,000 times worse in my opinion. So go in leggings or skirts if you find skirts to be comfortable. Pick out your comfiest outfit and wear that. Some airlines are actually notorious for booting fat people off the plane or making them buy a second seat. You know, there's a lot of controversy around that specific rule about if you're too big for the seat, you have to buy a second one, etc., etc. But if this airline that you're about to buy from has previously done that, or has any sort of clause in which they can discriminate against you because of your size, don't fly with them if you can. I know that this is beyond our control as fat people. You know, if somebody's gonna complain, or if somebody's gonna decide that you're too big for the seat, but if we can kind of eliminate certain airlines might be notorious for doing those sort of things, it's gonna make your trip a little bit more anxiety-free. Ask for a seatbelt extender, and if you're not comfortable asking for a seatbelt extender, buy one online and take it with you. I remember my first few times flying as an adult, and I squeezed as hard as I could to get into that seatbelt, and I remember I did it, but it was the most uncomfortable trip of my life. It was digging into my sides. I felt like I was just gonna explode. It was awful. And then I realized I could ask the flight attendant for a seatbelt extender, and it was really, really scary at first. Of course it's gonna be scary to ask someone, and in my case I didn't really want other people to hear that I was asking for a seatbelt extender, but in the end it makes an incredible difference. My comfort level goes from a 2 to a 10, and it's just easier for me. I feel more safe as well. I've been able to ask, but like I said, if you're not comfortable, you can go on Amazon and type in seatbelt extender and find one for relatively inexpensive. I actually had a friend who did this, and I think she got it for about $30. Choose your seats wisely. I know that a lot of airlines will make you pay extra, so if that's not something that you're able to do, then that's okay. But I think if you get there early enough, you can talk to whoever's checking you into the flight, and they might be able to move things around for you. And why I say choose your seats wisely is if you're gonna be on a flight that's 4 hours, I wouldn't suggest sitting on the window seat. I'd actually suggest sitting on the aisle, especially if you're someone like me. I'm a fidgeter. I like to get up and move around. I also tend to use the washroom a few times on the flight. So if I'm in the window seat, I have a harder time getting in and out of the seat. I've actually had a situation on my way back from England where I was on the window seat and I had to pee so bad, but this woman was reclined into my lap basically, and I was like, there's just, how the hell am I supposed to get out of here? So I had to literally hoist myself up and get out of there, and it was super uncomfortable for me. And if I had only thought to switch seats with my boyfriend and sit on the aisle instead of the inside, you know, I don't know. Anyways, if you can, pick a seat according to your best needs. If you aren't someone who's gonna wanna move, you can stay in that window seat, but I also found I had a lot more arm room on the aisle seat. So if you're like me and you're a nervous flyer, do what you can to prepare yourself mentally. Preparing yourself mentally, I mean, if you have concerns or fears about the safety of the plane, research that or talk to somebody about it, somebody who knows their stuff, or somebody who isn't as fearful of flying as you are. I often talk to my friends who fly a lot, or my boyfriend who's flown a lot and long trips as well, and just talk to them about their experiences, and even talking to them about bad experiences that ended up fine in the end. So for me, I go into that, I'm like, okay, There are gonna be like bumps along the way, turbulence is normal, etc., etc. Bring something to distract yourself, and this is like a huge one because I never did this up until recently, and I don't know why, but having something even to do with your hands to take your concentration on the length of the flight, the person beside you, how uncomfortable you are, your fears, whatever. Having something to pull yourself out of that is incredibly helpful, seeing as you can't do anything but sit there and experience it. So bring like, I love going to the dollar store and just picking up those little like crossword books and whatever, and then I'll like treat myself to like some new like highlighters or something, because I find crosswords and highlighters to be really entertaining and fun. Also, you can bring a book, you can download some apps on your phone, any sort of game that you like. Don't be afraid to talk to the flight attendant. And I know this can be a really scary thing for a lot of people, but 9 times out of 10, every flight attendant I've talked to has been really, really supportive, kind, and sweet to me. They've made my flight 1,000 times easier just by talking to me, just by reminding me that everything is gonna be okay, that if there is turbulence, it's totally normal. I've literally had a flight attendant sit next to me multiple times actually. I've had a flight attendant sit next to me while the plane was having like a really turbulent episode, and I get nervous. Like, it's just something that I feel, unfortunately. And I was like bawling my eyes out, and she held my hand and sat with me and just told me like the logistics of the plane, why it was happening, who the pilots were, told me the pilots, you know, history, how good they were, etc., etc. So she was really, really supportive, sweet, and kind to me. And if I hadn't done that, I think the whole situation would have been like 1,000 times worse for me. I've also talked to flight attendants about a seatbelt extender, and this goes back to asking flight attendants for a seatbelt extender, but I thought it was going to be a lot scarier than it was, but they're very kind. They don't make you, at least in my experiences, haven't made me feel uncomfortable, etc. And there are going to be situations with certain flight attendants that aren't as receiving as others, but honestly, I've only had good experiences out of talking to them. Pack gum, which is kind of obvious. When the plane ascends and descends, your ears are gonna start to pop, and I just hate that feeling. I've had a really, really painful pop before, and that was because I like didn't bring gum with me. So pop that in your mouth when you're taking off and when you're landing. It's just gonna make it a little bit more comfortable for you, because I know that like pressure in my ear actually makes me a lot more anxious. So knowing that I have my gum just like relieves a lot of the stress for me. And to add to that, have water. I know that oftentimes you can't bring water into the plane, but if you have a chance to just like pull the flight attendant off the side, or the second they're coming down those aisles, get something to drink, get something to hydrate yourself. It gets really like dry up there, and I just often feel like my throat closing up, and I get really nervous when I don't have like any sort of water near me. But anyways, just have water. Trust me on this. Have water. Pack noise canceling headphones. And this is actually something I recently started doing. I didn't realize that one of the triggers for me in terms of the like anxiety that I feel was the overwhelming noise you hear in the cabin. When I started actually wearing my noise canceling headphones, I was shocked at how quick my stress level went down and my anxiety went down, and it just helps me kind of like pull myself out of where I'm at and just to like concentrate on a book, a game, whatever I'm doing. And I'll like put music on my phone. In my case, I put ASMR on my phone just because it's like super, super helpful. And I put my noise canceling headphones on, and I suddenly feel like I can do it a lot better than I've done it before. That's everything that I have for now. I hope these tips and tricks have been a little bit helpful to you. Just remember that flying is actually one of the safest forms of travel there is. Knock on wood, because I have to go on a flight in a few days and I still get really anxious, but things I just try to remind myself. I'll probably continuously add to this as I gain more experience up in the air, but I really, really hope this was helpful in some capacity. If you have any tips or tricks for me, please do leave them down in the comments, because I am always looking for ways to help me deal with being a fat person in the air or my anxiety in the air, and anything is helpful. So thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later.